The NFL didn't see this one coming. Shedeur Sanders didn't just show up to play football. He showed up with a business plan. And not just any plan. We're talking about a deal so disruptive, so unprecedented, that league executives are still trying to figure out how it got past their lawyers. Welcome to the age of the prime equity clause. The nuclear bomb dropped into the NFL's tightly controlled branding empire. And Shedeur? He's the one who lit the fuse.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
So let's break this down. Most rookies walk into the league grateful just to sign the dotted line. They get their signing bonus, maybe a few small endorsement deals, and they play the waiting game. Wait for the team to develop them. Wait for the league to market them. Wait for permission to become more than a name on a jersey. But Shedeur? Nah. He flipped the table. His contract, valued at a modest $4.6 million on the surface, is packed with something that's never been done before. A prime equity clause. What is that exactly? It means Shedeur gets a cut of everything tied to his name. We're talking jersey sales, video game likenesses, sponsorship activations, TikTok compilations. If you use his face to make $1, he gets a piece of it. And that's just the start. He also retains full ownership of his personal brand. Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, X, you name it, it's his. No more leagues controlling approved player content. No more networks deciding who gets the spotlight. He's got his own production team, his own editors, and his own voice. And guess what? That team? It's his family. His brother runs his content pipeline. His dad, Dion, already wrote the blueprint. They don't need NFL films to tell their story. They are the story. The NFL is fuming behind closed doors. Because if Shedeur's model catches on, and spoiler alert, it will, they lose control. Control over player marketing. Control over narrative. Control over the multi-billion-dollar machine that has, for decades, told fans who to cheer for and when. And here's what's really shaking the walls in those ivory tower offices. Shedeur is already out-earning his rookie contract. With brand partnerships, nil carryovers, and content monetization, he's cleared $14 million before ever being named a starter. Think about that. The league is paying him $4.6 million. He's already made 3 times that without them. The NFL is fuming. And no, it's not because of a blown call or some fluke loss in overtime. It's because a rookie just did what decades of player agents, unions, and media empires failed to do. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sign a contract. He rewrote what an NFL contract could even be. With a single clause, something now whispered in boardrooms and panic Zoom calls across the league. He flipped the balance of power. And now, they're scrambling to stop the ripple before it becomes a tidal wave. Let's start with the basics. The deal itself? Technically, it looks standard. A rookie contract worth $4.6 million. Business as usual, right? Wrong. Because buried inside that contract is something the NFL has never allowed, the prime equity clause. This clause gives Shedeur something no other rookie, no other player, hell, no other face of a franchise, has had before, a direct cut of all revenue generated from his own name. Every jersey sold, he gets a piece. Every promo clip, he gets paid. Every sponsorship ad where his face is front and center, that check doesn't go to the team. It goes to him. But it doesn't stop there. Shedeur also retained full rights to his personal brand. That means his social media, YouTube content, Twitch streams, behind-the-scenes footage, and even custom apparel lines are all under his umbrella. Not the NFL's. Not the team's. Not some third-party marketing group hired by the league. And who's managing all this? His own in-house media team, staffed by family, friends, and longtime business partners who don't answer to anyone in a suit with a league logo. So yeah, Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a business partner. And the league hates it. Because this isn't just about money. It's about control. For decades, the NFL has carefully controlled how players are presented to the public. Who gets a feature on NFL Top 100? Who gets pushed in ad campaigns? Who gets placed on Madden covers? That control has allowed the league to shape narratives, build team brands, and maintain the illusion that the shield is bigger than the players who wear it. But Shedeur's deal broke that model, and the NFL is terrified that every rookie who comes after him will want the same. Let's be real, players aren't stupid. They see what's happening. They see that Shedeur's already pulled in $14 million in brand and media revenue, 3 times what he's getting from the Browns. And he hasn't even started a regular season game yet. They also see that Shedeur's jersey is outselling entire teams. $250 million in rookie jersey sales alone. That's not hype, that's market power. That's not just fans buying merch, it's fans choosing sides. And they're choosing a player, not the franchise. If you don't think that sends a chill down every exec spine, you don't understand how the league works. And here's the twist of the knife. It's not like Shedeur is doing this in spite of the NFL. No, he's using the NFL's own platform against it. Every highlight clip, monetized on his channels. Every mic'd up practice session, his production team drops the video before NFL Films even starts editing. Every press conference, cross-posted, captioned, and boosted with ad revenue, all going to Shedeur Inc. It's not a rookie contract. It's a hostile takeover. Now, the league could have seen this coming. After all, Shedeur isn't just some overnight sensation. This is a kid who grew up watching his father, Deion Sanders, primetime himself, build a media empire by being unapologetically loud, stylish, and self-owned in an era when players were still being told to act like they've been there before. Shedeur took that blueprint, added Gen Z digital fluency, and launched a brand empire before he even left college. And now, the NFL is learning what happens when you try to plug a YouTube CEO into a depth chart. But here's the real panic. This model works. And worse for the NFL, it's scalable. Agents have already begun contacting Shedeur's team asking how to structure similar clauses for their clients. Rookie QBs from next year's draft class are already teasing brand partnerships. College stars are now entering the league with full media teams, nil leverage, and social analytics that rival sports networks. If even 10% of incoming rookies follow this path, the league's entire revenue model cracks. Why? Because the league depends on centralizing power. It depends on team logos being bigger than player faces. It depends on controlling how stories are told. It depends on keeping athletes in the content but out of the profits. But Shedeur just showed that if you build your brand before you arrive, you don't have to play that game. And it's not just the players noticing. Sponsors are noticing too. Major brands Nike, Gatorade, Beats by Dre are now bypassing the NFL entirely to work with players directly. Why? Because Shedeur's channels get more engagement than the league's. Because his brand feels more authentic. Because the fans trust him more than they trust the product. And if the NFL can't guarantee viewership, if the value isn't in the league, but in the individuals, then the middleman becomes unnecessary. And that's the league's worst nightmare. So now you've got execs asking questions no one in NFL history ever had to ask. How do we stop players from becoming bigger than the league? What happens if contracts become collaborations instead of agreements? What if our players are no longer employees, but independent media entities? There are whispers of league owners pushing back. Quiet memos warning teams not to allow another prime equity clause. Front office meetings about protecting the shield. But it's too late. The door's open. And Shedeur walked through it wearing shades, filming the whole thing for his vlog, and dropping a sponsored link in the description. He's not just playing quarterback. He's teaching a masterclass. And the rest of the league? They're stuck watching from the sidelines, wondering how a rookie just changed the rules of the game without even breaking a sweat. The age of the brand athlete is here. And the NFL? It better learn to play catch-up, or get left behind. Now that Shedeur Sanders has flipped the script on the NFL's carefully controlled ecosystem, the question isn't just how he pulled it off. It's how long the league can keep pretending they're still in control. Because while some execs are still clinging to their outdated playbooks and talking points, others are staring straight at a future they can't unsee, one where they're no longer the stars of the show. Let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes. The moment Shedeur's contract details leaked, especially that prime equity clause, you could practically hear the glass shatter inside league headquarters. Phone calls were made. Emergency meetings were held. PR statements were drafted that never saw daylight. Why? Because they knew what was coming next. Copycats. Fast. And that's the thing. This isn't just a Shedeur problem for the NFL. It's a precedent. A roadmap. He just laid out the blueprint for every future player who has the audacity to think of themselves as more than a helmet with a jersey number. Already, college athletes with big social media followings, especially QBs, wide receivers, flashy corners, they're watching closely. They're seeing how Shedeur monetized his brand before even setting foot on an NFL field. They're seeing that he didn't need the league's validation to be valuable. They're seeing that fans followed him, not just the team. And so now, agents are getting smarter. Incoming rookies are asking questions teams aren't used to answering. Do I own my footage? Can I monetize my highlights? Do I get back-end from jersey sales? In the past, those were pipe dreams. Now, they're contract demands. And Shedeur? He's not just doing this for himself. Quietly, his team is building workshops, hosting seminars for athletes, sharing advice on how to structure brand deals, how to retain content rights, how to build long-term value outside the salary cap. This isn't just an athlete, it's a movement. And here's where it gets even crazier. While the NFL is still trying to figure out how to slow this down, other leagues, the NBA, MLS, even Formula One, are watching with interest. Because they know that brand-first players are good for business. They know that today's sports fan doesn't follow teams, they follow people, personalities, vibes. And nobody is curating a stronger vibe right now than Shedeur Sanders. He's not just inspiring a generation of athletes. He's forcing an entire industry to evolve. Let's look at the financials. With over $250 million in rookie jersey sales attributed to Sanders alone, do you really think team owners are not paying attention? Even the ones who scoffed at his contract in the beginning are now asking their marketing teams, why don't we have a guy like this? And it's not just jerseys. Shedeur's merch drops sell out in hours. His podcast appearances spike listener numbers. When he goes live on IG, he's pulling numbers that rival actual NFL broadcasts. He's already been offered distribution deals for behind-the-scenes content. And again, because of that clause, all of it belongs to him. This isn't a fluke. It's infrastructure. The Sanders can't plan this. While other rookies were focusing on signing bonuses and rookie dinners, Shedeur was negotiating equity terms and brand usage. He walked into the league like a CEO, and the league still treated him like an intern. And now, they're paying the price. Let's also talk about why the NFL fears this shift. Because if more players follow Shedeur's path, they'll have to stop selling the illusion that team first is the only way to win. They'll have to stop treating players like disposable assets and start treating them like partners. And that's a direct hit to the bottom line. The league's current revenue model thrives on centralized control. They license player images, dictate schedules, approve narratives. But when you've got an athlete whose personal brand can outperform the league's own marketing machine, that balance shifts drastically. Already, media outlets are skipping NFL press briefings to cover Shedeur's personal content drops. You think that's not a problem? Imagine being an exec trying to sell ad space during Thursday Night Football, while all anyone wants to talk about is Shedeur's new vlog episode or collab line with a global fashion brand. And speaking of fashion, he's disrupting that industry too. Sanders recently hinted at a custom cleat collaboration with one of the biggest athletic wear companies in the world. Rumors are the deal structure mirrors the Jordan brand business model, meaning full creative control, equity stake, and global distribution rights. This isn't endorsement money. This is generational wealth. This is empire building. And let's not forget the cultural side of all this. Sanders is the first NFL player to successfully bridge the gap between football and influencer culture, and do it without sacrificing legitimacy. That's rare. Most athletes who try end up either being clowned by purists or fading into niche appeal. But Shedeur? He's walking both worlds flawlessly. He's respected in the locker room and revered on social media. His teammates trust him. Fans worship him. Brands chase him. And that dual-wielding power is what the NFL has never been equipped to manage. Because when your audience no longer needs you to reach their favorite players, when your fans would rather scroll TikTok than watch an entire game, you're no longer the gatekeeper. You're just another vendor. And Shedeur? He holds the keys to the new gate. So what happens next? The league has a choice. Evolve or alienate. Embrace this new model and renegotiate the terms of power, or dig in and risk a full-blown player uprising. Because Shedeur isn't just the canary in the coal mine, he's the vanguard. And if they try to punish him, silence him, or undercut his movement, good luck. Because his fans don't follow him because he's in the NFL. They follow him because he's Shedeur. That's the real fear, isn't it? That for the first time in league history, a rookie could walk away from the NFL and still be bigger than it. That if he ever said, "I'm taking my talents to my own league," millions would follow without blinking. That's not a player. That's a paradigm shift. And the NFL? It's officially on notice. The fallout wasn't confined to boardrooms or ESPN talking heads. It seeped into locker rooms. Because when Shedeur Sanders walked into training camp with a contract that read like a Silicon Valley startup deal, the ripple wasn't just financial. It was psychological. Veteran players, some with Pro Bowl resumes and years in the league, started pulling aside their agents, asking the same question. Why didn't I get something like this? It wasn't jealousy. It was awakening. Because what Shedeur did wasn't just bold, it exposed something. The unspoken agreement between players and the league, where athletes grind, perform, sell out stadiums, and maybe, just maybe, get a decent second contract if they stay healthy long enough. Meanwhile, the league profits from every inch of their personality, likeness, and image. But Shedeur said no. He carved a new route. And for many inside NFL locker rooms, that hit hard. There was suddenly a new blueprint, not just for how to get paid, but for how to own your identity in a league that's long specialized in stripping it away. Now you've got rookies with under 10,000 Instagram followers trying to build media kits. You've got third-string wideouts asking for clauses that let them monetize their pre-game tunnel walks. Players are studying analytics, branding workshops, building camera-ready personas, and not because they want to go Hollywood, but because Shedeur showed them it's possible. And the resistance? Oh, it's real. Coaches hate distractions. GMs loathe ego. And Shedeur, to them, represents everything that threatens the football-first ethos they cling to. Despite the billions in ad money, they rake in precisely because of flashy personalities and player storylines. But that's the contradiction they can't avoid anymore. You want the eyeballs? You pay for the brand. You want the narrative? The player owns their voice. You want stars? You don't get to script them. And here's where things get messy. Some teams, especially the old-school ones, are panicking. Front offices are quietly blacklisting the idea of media-forward players. They're labeling them as distractions, locker room concerns, brand-before-ball types. But let's be honest, that's fear talking. Fear of losing control. Fear of being held accountable. Fear of players negotiating from a position of power instead of desperation. Meanwhile, newer ownership groups and tech-savvy franchises, they're already adapting. Rumor is at least 3 teams are restructuring their player media policies to accommodate influencer-style branding. One NFC team is building an in-house content lab to help players monetize footage without giving up rights. Another has hired a social strategist, not for the team account, but for the players. Why? Because they've seen what Shedeur built, and they know there's no going back. The player empowerment movement in the NBA didn't happen overnight. It took one LeBron, one clutch move, one domino to fall, and suddenly, the league shifted. Shedeur is that domino for the NFL. And you know who's really paying attention? High school athletes. Teenagers are already seeing college as a brand-building phase, not just a pit stop to the league. They're studying Shedeur's path, his content cadence, his partnerships, the way he controls narrative through his own channels, and they're planning accordingly. The next wave of talent won't just be strong, fast, and skilled. They'll be media-trained, monetized, and ready to negotiate like CEOs. And the NCAA? Also sweating. Because the moment players enter college with agents, editors, and endorsement strategies in place, the illusion of amateurism crumbles completely. The pipeline the NFL depends on is shifting, and if they don't adapt, they'll end up with fewer players willing to surrender their IP just for a shot at a roster spot. Back in Cleveland, the Shedeur effect is already visible. Local reporters can't ignore that Sanders draws more clicks than anyone on the roster, including the starters. His off-field moments are as anticipated as his on-field ones. His return from injury wasn't just a headline, it was a campaign. Camera crews, custom graphics, full fan engagement. The Browns' PR team could barely keep up. And even teammates, the ones who side-eyed him at first, are slowly realizing that being in the orbit of Shedeur means being part of something bigger. Receivers who appear in his content see spikes in followers. Backup players who feature in his videos get DMs from brands. Suddenly, everyone wants a little piece of that shine. This isn't a distraction. It's a platform. And when you're playing a game with a 3-year average career lifespan, every platform matters. The bigger irony? The NFL is still profiting off Shedeur. The same system that bristled at his independence still uses his clips to sell packages. They still push his highlights on official accounts. They still frame his name in headlines to drive viewership. Because deep down, they know people care about Shedeur. He's not a side plot. He is the story. And yet, they hesitate. They hesitate to promote him fully. They hesitate to adjust policies. They hesitate to embrace a new model. Because the old guard doesn't just want power. They want the illusion that they're still the ones shaping the league's future. But the future is already here. It wears shades, owns a production company, and calls audibles both on the field and in contract negotiations. Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting for approval. He's not asking for a seat at the table. He built his own table. And now the league's biggest power players are stuck trying to figure out how to get an invite. So what's next? The NFL could fight it. They could draw lines in the sand, impose new restrictions, hope this movement fizzles. But let's be honest, the toothpaste is out of the tube. And the more they resist, the worse they look. Because fans, especially younger fans, want players with voices. They want connection, not sanitized PR. They want authenticity. Shedeur delivers that. And if the league won't catch up, then the league will fall behind.